Ontario Premier Kathleen and her Alberta counterpart Jim Prentice met in Toronto this morning. They discussed plans to run a controversial oil sands pipeline through Ontario. TransCanada's proposed Energy East project would bring crude from Western Canada to refineries in Quebec and also New Brunswick. Aaron Collins is following the story and joins me live from Calgary. So what was the tone of today's discussion between these two leaders, Aaron?
Well, Suhana, it might be a surprise to some, but it was very cordial. I mean, there was a wide range of topics discussed by the two premiers, from both provinces' need for more help building infrastructure in their provinces to, of course, the Energy East pipeline. And I think of great interest to many people was Premier Wynn's declaration that this project is in the national interest of Canada, which is perhaps something that might surprise some people watching this from Ontario. Obviously, there's some nuances here, however. We have seen Premier Prentice moving through Quebec and now into Ontario, and he's basically kind of tried to put out some of those fires that were started when the two provinces created those conditions that they want to see prior to this project being approved. So while Premier Wynn says that this is a project of national importance, whether or not it's going to meet the bars to move forward, that's a different discussion.
Now, Ontario and Quebec, they've signed a memorandum that climate change has to be a consideration for this project to be approved. Did that come up today?
Yeah, that did come up. That's sort of the big sticking point here. And there's sort of two ways to look at this, right? So when you're looking at climate change, are you looking at just the climate change, the emissions involved in building the project? That's probably not going to be a big amount. Or are you saying we need to look at the upstream emissions that happen when we pull bitumen out of the ground here in Western Canada, move it to refineries, and then take it to market? That's a very different equation. Now, as far as what the premiers had to say today, the National Energy Board, when they're looking at a project, they only look at the specific project. They don't look at the upstream emissions. What Premier Wynn said, and what Premier Prentice appears to be agreeing with, is that we need to have a national energy strategy in this country, and inside that strategy, we need to be looking at emissions at source. We need to be looking at those upstream emissions, and that'll be good news to those folks who are concerned about climate change.
Thanks so much for that, Aaron. That's Aaron Collins in Calgary.